Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Commerce Lab by Ecomcy, the place where every related to Amazon private label and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, founder and CEO of Ecomcy, and today we bring another special guest. His name is Vadim Soin, and he's the founder and CEO of PPC Jumpstart, where they specialize on everything that has to do with advertising around Amazon. And today's conversation is going to be everything around Q4. Essentially, we're in Q4 already, and a lot of the conversation is around, how do I make sure my PPC is ready for it, what tips when it comes to optimization, how I can maximize the most out of it. And today, hopefully, with some of the insights that Vadim is going to share with us, is going to make sure that journey is as efficient as possible. So, Vadim, welcome to the show today. Thank you so much for being here. How you doing?
Yeah, thank you. I'm very, very excited we finally got on this call. I know, we're both busy guys. You have a lot of presentations. And, just a few weeks ago, we met up in Seattle. It was good to see you in person. I'm doing very well. We just finished with Prime Day. There is a lot of holidays upcoming, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Very busy season, but I'm excited we got on this chat finally. Yeah.
Awesome. Same here, same here. I know we've been going back and forth to make this happen, but finally we're here and I'm super excited about that. So I guess to kick off things, like just give us, a brief intro by yourself, your company,
Yeah.
and then we can get started. Yeah.
Yeah, the brief intro about myself. I started as a seller myself. I didn't get into this advertising world just by learning or just watching YouTube videos, thinking, okay, I'm going to be a service. I started selling my own products, so I had I'm a very I'm into working out. I go to the gym a lot, and I thought to myself, okay, I want to create this premium version of workout gloves, something that lasts long, does not rip, because everything on the market at the time was just cheaply made weightlifting glove, selling for $10. So I came up with this product. I found a factory in Pakistan. I imported it, and I got it going. Everything was working well until I realized, that the PPC part is like literally half of the battle on Amazon PPC. So that kind of what got me started into this business. And then, at the time when I was selling my product, I had like a few people who I was talking to at the time, like they asked me, "Hey, can you manage our advertising, right?" And I mean, I've never done it for someone at the time, so I said, "Sure, right?" And I did manage their ads, and it's been like it worked so well that they told me like, hiring you was like the best business decisions that they've made at the time. And it was also around Q4, and just like for a 5-year-old business, because they're a pretty established business, and we are like seeing like first months I'm working with them is like best months, second month is another best months. I think I'm like onto something. Like, why don't I
Yeah.
just go ahead and like help other people? Yeah, so this is where I started, being a seller myself, and then just taking the skills and applying to help other sellers.
Awesome. Love it. Yeah, I think, especially even myself, like, when you come from a seller background, I think the beauty of that as well is that you understand the struggle of being a seller and you can also understand the perspective of being a client. So that's
Yeah.
definitely something that if you know how to reverse engineer and put that from the perspective of added
Mhm.
value as a consultant and a
Yeah.
service, that people definitely can see the value in that as well,
Yeah.
because they can see where you're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah. And sorry, speaking about reverse engineering, I think your background, you were engineer, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
I was also engineer, so I was in the in the different space like mechanical engineering, so maybe somewhat related to aerospace, but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
For us, actually, being a myself being an aerospace engineer, I remember seeing some of the modules from mechanical engineer. So
Oh, you
there's
did?
definitely
Yeah.
some overlap.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. So we're both,
Yeah,
ex-engineers, you could say. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's, I think, another value that we bring to the table. I think being engineering, kind of with engineering mindset, it helps a lot with numbers, especially PPC being so numbers driven.
Yeah.
And I
Very.
think it also helps a lot in terms of troubleshooting, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, and go from there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really enjoyed like I said, coming from engineering, like we were already dealing with a lot of charts, numbers, calculations, formulas, analysis, forecasting. So this is just a second. It's like a second nature, except it's like it's not engineering. It's not materials. It's numbers. It's sales. It's marketing.
Yes,
It's
yes.
all merged. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I guess diving into the conversation today, which is, PPC around Q4, I think something that I would like to start with is, what are some of the things you would say from a preparation point of view sellers need to be aware of? Because I mean, we're already in Q4, so a lot of people it's late if you haven't done anything at all, but, you're still in time to kind of rectify certain actions. So what is your advice when it comes to that, and what is usually your recommendation? Yeah.
Yeah, well, like starting with the very basics, like as a PPC manager, you're not managing just advertising. You're also looking at it holistically. How is overall market doing? Like everyone should have some kind of a spreadsheet or a document that have their competition, have their BSR, and just to know when these guys are having the deals, when they reduce the price, etc. I would say this is number one, just looking at the market overall. This could be a weekly exercise. Um, yeah,
Cool. And I guess in terms of preparation as well from the perspective of budgets, how you should recommend people as well to handle that, because what people is also not aware is that things such as the cost per click is
hmm
going to be increasing significantly, which means you need to be more out of pocket to keep showing on your
yeah,
main keywords and keep consistent winning the placement. So do you also budget for that, and if so, what is usually, I guess,
yeah,
the increment that you advise when it comes to that as well?
yeah. So we should definitely identify our like goal, like our like what is the end goal. Obviously, increasing sales profit. Then we identify what is our keywords that we own, what is our keywords that's been working for us consistently. So these are the kind of campaigns that we are going to fight for aggressively, despite the increase in PPC. Because we know that during Black Friday and Cyber Monday, these are the exact keywords that are going to move the needle. They're going to move the business. And just getting like super technical here, from what I see, how different placements work, maybe leading up to events like Black Friday, typically top of search is gonna encounter a lot of window shoppers. It's people adding to cards, browsing. So maybe we wanna like let go of the throttle on top of search, maybe bid more on the rest of search, etc. But during this day itself, like you'd better have your top of search bids maxed out, especially on the keywords that you're already winning before. Yeah.
Cool.
And
And I guess
Mhm.
in terms of a history, I'm also keen to learn about this because I know historically, by talking to people when it comes to getting ready for Q4, one of the methodologies as well has to do with essentially analyzing what has been happening in the last years and then trying to learn from it, especially by having a look at things such as brand analytics or even looking at your own historical data. So,
Yeah,
how you also advise people using their kind of past performance to kind of
yeah,
emulate that into the future and
mhm,
what you could potentially be doing as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the very helpful report is you already mentioned it, brand analytics. Honestly, I think this is one of the useful things that you could find on Amazon. Brand analytics, we look at year over year, change on specific keywords. Let's say it's something like wood carving tools. So we would look at the previous, say October, November, December, and then we are seeing like what kind of increase this keyword is getting. And if it's something like, say, this keyword is going from 100 sales in October to 300 in November and 600 in December, which is actually the case for that niche, this keyword will be at the very top of our advertising, not just running PPC, but specific focus on the ranking, making sure that we are in the top five before that huge increase in traffic and sales. So brand analytics, it gives you the forecast, uh, and this is, like I said, it's a very useful report.
Cool. And I guess in terms of as you have a look at historical performance to get ready for PPC, how you also potentially you with your clients, or in terms of what you have seen in other people in the industry, handle the situation of organic, because we know, of course, the conversation today is about how we can get ready from a PPC perspective, but from an organic perspective, do you also recommend people to maximize as much as possible what they're doing with the listings, how they control certain keywords,
Yeah,
because we all know the influx of traffic on Q4 is higher, and I
yeah,
guess being fully optimized on that front can also help significantly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I will give a few pointers here. So the first one is like you mentioned the front end of the listing. Like what I find really helps is optimizing your listing. Like say it's like we're approaching Christmas, right? I already see some listings who are selling very well. They have this Christmas theme on their images, like a bell or a Santa Claus, like something basic like that. Like that helps a lot. And like, okay, and let's say we speak specifically about PPC. What I also find helps is like, do you run any like, you know, hourly or day parting on the accounts you manage?
Yeah,
So
so we do. I mean, just as a feedback, that's something that we do, and I'm keen to hear your thoughts.
yeah.
Like, I think that can be game changer, especially if your budget is limited,
Mhm.
right? Like, that can significantly impact performance. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the most common way of day parting is just day parting things at night, where we run reduced advertising. But during the holidays itself, I find for accounts that usually work very well, we just reduce the day parting hours. So say we're advertising from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. during say Black Friday, it's literally going to be whole day, something like that. We reduce the day parting, and that also works other way around. Right after Black Friday or Cyber Monday, we are entering that slump again, where everything goes down temporarily. This is a good time to have more day parting. Say we're only running ads for like 6 hours a day, and this is just like another lever you can pull besides budgets. Yeah.
Cool. And I guess on this strategy, when it comes to leveraging, of course, seasonality keywords and all of that. Out of curiosity, do you also take in consideration, for example, on the mix, especially because now we can get the data, uh, Amazon Marketing Cloud? Because now with Amazon Marketing Cloud, you could potentially also historically look at, what has happened last year, or have some audiences that you could repurpose for Q4. Like, what are your thoughts with Amazon Marketing Cloud being embedded on this methodology as well?
I'm still very much, testing Amazon Market Cloud and at a small scale. Like I have a few audiences set up, like basic things like added to cart but didn't purchase. So I cannot speak too much on that point yet. And have you already using it like in full force for your accounts?
Yeah, I mean, for that, actually, we're seeing that it's been very impactful because just as was building the question, like for us using that kind of what happened in the past, behaviors around purchases, abandoned carts, so seeing different competitive brands. Now we can essentially reverse engineer certain behaviors and kind of the ideal avatar that we know is going to be the
Mhm.
highest converting when it comes to buying from us, and then we can use that to leverage our campaign. So that's why I was keen to know if that's something you
Mhm.
think people should also be leveraging into Q4?
I mean, I'm again, I'm not probably the best person to ask, but I think there should be like I said, I'm already starting to look into it, and ideally like expanding more into that before Q4. So yeah, there should
Cool.
be. There should be. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, I guess in terms of going back to PPC now, building into Q4, let's say when it comes to optimization, because what's going to happen for a lot of people during Q4 is that given that they're getting so much engagement because of the extra influx of traffic, and most likely they're going to spend more money, people is going to get very reactive and sometimes being driven
Mhm.
by emotions when it comes to optimization. And we both know that's not the most efficient way to really maintain campaigns on a good trajectory, because if optimization comes from a reactive point of view rather than focusing
Yeah.
on real data, it can really spiral the performance into a negative path. So what are your thoughts on that as well?
Uh, yeah. So I have a lot of brands that I manage. Like there is one example of a clothing brand. Like they're selling yoga pants. Like also, that is Q4, and most of the brand sales are gonna go up for something like clothing, especially a summer item. It's inevitable that the sales are gonna be down. So there are, we manage it for brands with different expectations. For something like clothing, we are expecting that the sales are going to be down. So we're not going super aggressive for anything like ranking, etc. Instead, we have a lot of discovery. Like lately, I've been finding like broad, much modified campaigns work well, auto campaigns work well. Just giving more control to Amazon in general, instead of just relying purely on exact match type, which used to be a thing in the past where everyone suggests, use exact match type, rank keywords, etc. Is it something that you find as well
Yeah, I
before?
mean, for us, to be honest, exact match keeps being the main source of essential outcome when it comes to impacting organic ranking. So that's always one that we're gonna advise
It's always
people to
there.
go for. Yeah, especially if you go top of the search where conversion tends to be higher,
Yeah.
and we both know by spiking conversion that can build a good history for you that ranks you organically more. So yeah, it
Hmm.
definitely has to be part of it. But I agree with you. Like I think people should be leveraging more also phrase and broad, because sometimes for the same keyword and sometimes with the same placement you could end up paying cheaper CPC just
Yeah.
because of what the targeting is happening from. I don't know if you have experienced the same as well.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, and there is, there is also like a common school of thought. Like people ask, should we be negating keywords that converted in broad? And since we moved them in exact match type, let's negate them in broad. My answer is always no, and there is a few reasons for that. Like you said, the first reason, you could always get it at a cheap request per click in broad. The second reason, there is already a good history. Why would you negate it? Like the chance that they're gonna compete is so slim because broad is pulling so many different search terms, right? Like say 50 different search terms, and the chance it's gonna compete is with exact, it's pretty slim. So yeah, my thought about negating is we never negate good keywords, no matter what kind of transitions we do, exact to phrase, exact to, I mean broad to phrase, broad to exact, phrase to exact. We never negate good keywords.
So sometimes even if let's say the queue is performing very well on broad and you move it to exact and then exact keeps start performing better than broad, will you still keep the broad open or you will eventually then negate that one?
I'm still keeping it open because if it's working already well in broad, there is no reason to negate it. Like
Okay.
people say, okay, we need to give more traffic to exact match type campaign,
Yeah.
but sometimes it happens like this keyword working well in broad, and it's working bad in exact. Like there is no explanation for that. It's like I think Amazon ads is still a bit of a black box when it comes to match types, but I don't negate good keywords.
Yeah, for us it's the same. Like for us, negation is strictly only if keywords that are underperforming keep showing off no matter what, even lowering
that,
bids and
yeah.
everything, then negation is required because otherwise it depletes the budget. But yes, if performance is good, there is no need for negating. I agree.
Yeah, and something useful I wanted to share on this podcast as well about negations. Like, do you know about the thing called n-gram analysis?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But it would be
very,
good if you can explain it maybe for people is
yeah.
not aware. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So n-gram analysis. Okay. So it's not a very like exciting task that you do, but all you're doing is you're grabbing your entire search term report list. You're putting it to a tool called ngram, and it's showing you how individual phrases work. Let's say you're selling, I don't know, golden spoon, and you have a lot of phrases that are search terms that has silver, and the ngram analysis will tell you, okay, for anything silver, you'll typically have 100% ACOS. And with using this kind of tool, you can quickly identify the phrases that result in, say, zero orders, high COS search terms, etc. And you can build this, like I call this like list, negative targeting list. Ideally, you have it for every individual product. This is like your list of phrases that you never want to show up for. You apply it to any of your older campaigns, any new campaigns, and if you manage advertising this way, that helps you a lot to remove irrelevant clicks and traffic.
Yeah, especially because I think something very relevant to mention here is a negative phrasing can also be very powerful. Like the example you
Mhm.
gave, if you selling something made of gold and you keep getting keywords have to do with silver, you wanna put silver as a negative phrase because anything that has to do with silver is never gonna be good for you,
Yeah,
right? So and
yeah,
people
yeah,
is not
yeah.
aware of that. Hmm.
Yeah, and also to take it even further, like you don't have to use n-gram analysis. Just looking at what keywords your product indexes for. You just grab that list, you put it in, say, helium 10 Frankenstein. You look at all of the individual phrases and you ask yourself, like, is it even relevant to my product?
Yeah,
So, and if you do this kind of pre-negations, I guarantee you the results are going to be better versus if you just had no negative list and just
yeah.
running out a campaign, just to search data or mine data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vadim, for that. So I guess to start coming to a closure in terms of tips, like what would be your last tip that I guess or advice that you would say people should be aware of when it comes to entering Q4? Any last piece of wisdom,
Yeah.
tools, things you're gonna share? Yeah.
Yes, I do. During Q4, like say Christmas, etc., like there is already access to Helium 10. We can look up search volume, etc. We can find these large keywords. But what
Yeah.
happens during Christmas is that there is so much traffic that there is going to be keywords that didn't even exist in the first place, like phrases or keywords. And to really get advantage of this, you don't just have exact match type campaign, working on this large search volume. Of course, it's going to be there, but what I really advise is you have a broad campaign targeting, like say that's just one word related to your niche. Let's say you're snulling for something for sleep, so it's going to be sleep in a broad match type, and obviously you have good negations for that. And this campaign, you'll set it up a week before, I don't know, Black Friday, Christmas.
Mhm.
You know, it's going to be quiet. Nothing really going to happen. But when Black Friday hits, you'll see how it starts to pull all of these search terms that you didn't even know existed in the first place. So in
Nice.
this way, you can expand your reach, very like really far when that surge in traffic comes. Yeah,
Cool. That's good. That's good advice. Thank you. I'm gonna
yeah.
make sure that if people want to reach out as well, because I'm sure they want to have more questions about this or explore how people can work with you. Tell us more details about that and how people can find you as well.
Yeah, so I'm very active on LinkedIn. People can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Vadim Soin. I'd be happy to get on a call, whether we work together or not. I'm always happy to get on calls with clients and just give them a few tips, how to take advantage of this upcoming surge in traffic in Q4. Yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate that, Vadim. So I'm gonna make sure I put all the information below. As we
Mhm.
both know, we are just with the tips given today. We're only scratching the surface. So if you have more questions and everything, everybody watching and hearing, feel free to reach out. And other than that, Vadim, hopefully I see you soon at our upcoming events. And it's been a pleasure to
Yeah.
have you. Thank you so much
I
for
enjoy,
being here,
I
man.
enjoyed this podcast. Thank you, Vincenzo. Yeah.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.